Lamb at the 3, but he's going to be tackled short of the end zone, and the game's going to end.
Cowboys fall to 5-3 as they lose a heartbreaker in Philly, 28-23. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus, here on the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys. 877-881-1053. The number to call, the number to text, 877-881-1053. There were so many big moments in this game. And you say, hey, it's a game of inches, and this one probably was more so than any we've witnessed. Cowboys had an opportunity, first and goal at the 5, at the Philly 6-yard line. You had a penalty on Tyler Smith. Dak gets sacked for an 11-yard loss. You're incomplete going to Jalen Tolbert. There's a delay of game, and then you end up a Hail Mary that was short of the goal line to CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, and I know there's going to be a lot of focus on the officials and the way that went. To me, where Dallas had their struggles early in the game with the officials, I felt like that they put you in position to win that game. If you look at the way that that thing played out. Unfortunately, going into the game, we talked about it on a couple of different times, was you have to block their front. You have to. And for the most part, there was some good pass blocking. But when you're in a situation, we felt like that coming into this game, you probably were going to have to give Terrence Steele some help. You probably were going to have to find a way to chip over there or put a tight end with some spacing. That was going to be a problem for him in this game. You put it on your quarterback tonight. You really couldn't run the football. Your wide receiver came up big with CeeDee Lamb and the way that he played. And it's just unfortunate that, when you look at the sacks, the game management, there was no turnovers in the game, right?
No turnovers. And
you had an opportunity to get the one turnover that could have maybe given you the ball a little bit sooner in that. But, yeah, it was some, fourth down calls. Some of them you're really good at. Some of them you really weren't. But that's the way the game goes. And I do think the officiating was not good for either team.
I agree.
I don't think that's one of these games where you could say, okay, well, that's the reason. When you watch the All-22, I'm sure on a fourth down play, I know you were screaming about Ferguson when he threw the ball to Tolbert.
Yeah, it looked like Ferguson was wide open over the middle.
So I'm interested to see the why. I'm interested to see the why and what did Dak see. And I thought Dak played his ass off, to be honest with you. I really do. And and they needed him to, because this was a one-dimensional football team on offense today. And they took it to the Eagles fairly well in that secondary. The Eagles have a lot of problems in that secondary. We talked about that quite a bit coming into this game. And I felt like Dallas took advantage of it, though. It's just unfortunate that they could not get any stops on defense when they really take into the first half and then the start of the second half. They couldn't get a stop when they really needed to.
No, and I thought I do think the officiating was very poor.
For both teams, it really was.
You could say it was 100%.
Yeah.
The Eagles touchdown drive, the second one at a half, to go up 28-17. They get 30 yards there. I mean, that felt like it was really almost a back-breaking type of move. But you had a chance to win it at the end.
You did. You absolutely did. You were in position there to get it done, and you read off the play sequence. I mean, look at the play sequence before that. Before Philly punted you the ball. You're down there. You get sacked by Steele. I call a sack on Smith because it was Carter that got it. So that was from the defensive tackle spot. Lamb for 13. Philadelphia uses a timeout. Now it's 4th and 8. It's 3rd and 21. You get 13, and then it's 4th and 8, and you don't get it. I mean, there were opportunities to win this football game, and you didn't take advantage of that. And I think there was some game management issues during this football game. But there, you were in a position to find a way to come away with this, with how bad some of the things started for you. The way you finished. I mean, you're able to get off the field a couple of times. You got yourself in position. They couldn't really cover you. There were penalties. There were calls made, and it just didn't work out for you this time.
So many plays in this one that stand out. Of course, the Schoonmaker touchdown that wasn't a touchdown. He ends up, knee is down, short of the goal line.
Short.
Dak steps out of bounds on the 2-point play. You think you have that.
Stepped out of bounds.
Michael Gallup had that drop early on that would have been able to extend a drive.
Yep.
And then, Terrence Steele, it felt like all but maybe one of the sacks that they gave up today, and I think they finished with 5.
I think that Smith had one. Like I said, Carter.
The Carter one, yeah.
The Carter one, I think, was an inside sack. But, yeah, this is you're just kind of going in. You felt like this could be a rough game for Terrence Steele. It was nice to have Tyron Smith back in there playing, but it just did not. When you Philadelphia did a great job when it came down to having to get pressure at the very end. They were able to get it, and you really didn't. I don't think Dallas got. You look at how compromised that maybe that Jalen Hurts was. There wasn't enough pressure on him. You knew they were going to run the ball to try and alleviate some of the stress that was going to be put on him in that game. But I'll tell you what, that was a tough one. That was a tough one because you did have the opportunity. You just weren't good enough today to finish that thing off.
I'm just still stunned at how poor that execution was.
Yeah.
On that final drive. And Dak was good, right? 375 yards, 3 touchdowns. And he plays well against the Eagles.
That's what it was going to take that. If they were going to win, it was going to take Dak playing a game like that in order to make it happen because they weren't going to be able to run the ball. We saw that. The Schoonmaker hold, that negated a large run, but they really didn't have a running game today.
No, they didn't.
But it was all on your quarterback, and I don't think the quarterback. But we'll see. I'm interested to see. To me, and I agree with Greg Olson on this. I'm throwing the ball to 87 or to 88.
Yeah,
on a 4th down play.
Questionable crunch time, mismanagement issues, and you do have to look at the quarterback in some of those situations.
Sure, you do. But I don't. To me, I don't think the quarterback was the reason why you struggled today. I think there were. I think that the pass protection at times was just not good enough where it needed to be.
Sure.
And but every time you get down there in the red zone or you get goal to goal, it's a hold your breath situation down there.
Yeah.
It really and I don't know. We're gonna. I'm sure Dak when it gets to the post game interview part, someone was telling me, or we were starting to hear that Udoka, they reported him eligible, and I think that's what the whole thing was.
Yeah.
That maybe
on the Pollard touchdown.
Yeah, on the Pollard touchdown that he was. They said that he was not eligible. So I don't know. I'm sure there's, like I say, I think the calls were bad for both teams today. Was there holdings that weren't called? Sure, from both teams. But you had a chance to win the game today. You got down there and you couldn't get it done, and that's on your offense for not finishing it that way.
No question. Let's go ahead and pause 10 seconds to allow stations to identify themselves across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
You're turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys, brought to you by Pepsi, made for Cowboys watching. Cowboys fall to the Eagles, 28-23. Eagles now improved to 8-1 on the year.
Their bye week next week, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're now up 2.5 with this one, and we'll get to see them again in a month in Arlington at AT&T Stadium. I feel like we thought that they would split. This one just stings because with all the ebbs and flows, with all the crazy plays, and the 3 fumbles the Eagles had. You had Marquise Bell, it looked like, was going to recover that one. Unfortunately, ball bounces right back to DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
Hurts had the fumble. Swift runs into A.J. Brown. Micah's right there to possibly be able to jump on it. And then Tyler Steen, their rookie. There's so many plays from this one, and then you still had a chance to win it. The execution was poor. You come up just short. This one certainly does sting, and the Cowboys will have to rally and get back to play the Giants next week.
Yeah, they do. And but nobody feels sorry for you, as we always say. You just did not do enough. I think Philadelphia did what they had to do to win that game. Their defense, though, is really, other than their pass rush, is a mess. It really is a mess in that secondary. And they've kind of lived on the edge all year, and they find a way to win games, and a lot of it has to do with their offense. But, that was one that Dallas, when they look back, when they watch the All-22, they're going to say probably they missed several opportunities, especially down there in that red zone area where it could have gone either way.
877-881-1053. We would like to hear from you. Lots of texts coming in. Frustration, of course, with the way that Terrence Steele played, the offensive line, that final drive, throwing to Jalen Tolbert there in that situation instead of going to CeeDee Lamb. Come on, Dak's got to be better. Philly's defensive line dominated.
Wow. Be better. I mean, I could say, in what way do you want him to be better? I mean, is it the reads? Is it something that he missed? We'll look at it and find out.
I mean, you know what it is, Brian? It's you have a chance to go win the game.
I know. You have no running game, though.
I get it. You're first down. It's 1st and 5 at the 6-yard line.
Yeah.
You're not snapping the damn ball. And maybe that's on Tyler Broaddus. Maybe Dak's calling for it.
It was
and
slow.
Broaddus isn't snapping it.
Yeah,
but how many times are we in this situation now? And Dak was good for the majority of the game.
Yeah.
But when you're good quarterbacks, when you're an elite quarterback,
yep.
you put the ball in the end zone.
Yep.
And we've been waiting for this moment. We've been waiting for him to finally do something like that, and he didn't. And again, it's not always just on the quarterback. There's so many different plays that factored into this one. But it all boils down to you've got a golden opportunity to win it at the end, and you came up short. And a lot of it does have to go to your quarterback didn't execute.
Okay.
And the rest of the offense did too, but I can get the frustration where people might feel that way.
I think when you sit down and watch it, and, could Dak have maybe done a couple of things differently? Absolutely. I think the biggest sin that Dak had today was the 2-point run, is stepping out of bounds.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's tough. He's going to try and turn the corner, and unfortunately it didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
And, to me, Dak didn't throw any interceptions. Dak had 3 touchdown passes. He threw the ball 44 times, and usually when Dak has to throw the ball more than 30-some-odd times, I was on Mike Lombardi's show yesterday, and Mike was telling me, he's like, if this turns into a game where Dak has to throw the ball 40 times, they're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
But hey, that's they didn't make enough plays. All on the quarterback? No.
No, it's not all on the quarterback.
He'll stand up there and he'll answer the questions. But yeah, the Philadelphia tried to give you the game there at the very end, and you just didn't take the game. And I think it's unfortunate that you have to. They always say, oh, you learn lessons from these things. No, you really. I mean, losing is losing. But to sit there and say, well, the quarterback's got to be better. I don't know,
the
man.
Majority of the game he was.
He was. The guy
was very good.
We talk about dink and dunk offense and things like that. I mean, he was trying to rip that. He was trying to rip some throws. I think that there were some times where Terrence Steele, if you want to tell me that Terrence Steele wasn't good enough today.
He wasn't.
But that's on the coaches, though, too, because going into this game, the guy that could be the weak link is either going to be the center or the right tackle. And so you got to find ways to help those guys if you can. And I feel like that they let him down in that way.
They did. Certainly. There's a lot of, blame when you lose that you can put onto it.
Sure.
But I do think from a fan perspective, and this is just how the NFL works, and you know that better than anybody.
Well, Philadelphia's tried to lose games all year.
That secondary was very depleted at the end. And they did a good job picking them apart.
Zach, we talked about that all week.
Bradbury gets hurt.
Yeah, I know we were dealing with World Series coverage all week, but when we talked about the Philadelphia game and we broke it down, we were talking about Bradbury. We were talking about Slay. We were talking about how bad the safety play was. I mean, there were some opportunities today, and unfortunately for Dallas, there were some bad penalties that they had, and there were also some situations where they couldn't get the protection they needed to get the ball down the field. This was going to be one of those games where they weren't going to run. They didn't run. They threw it all on the quarterback. The quarterback came up. I think the quarterback did the best he could under the situation that he was dealing with.
Yeah, Tony Pollard, 51 yards on the ground, averaged 4.3 yards a carry.
Yeah.
As a team, you only ran for 73 yards.
Yeah. That's just not, and it wasn't, and it wasn't going to be good enough. But Philadelphia wasn't much better. They ran 33 for 109. Their yards per carry was less than yours. But you just, it's tough when you get put in situations where you have to finish down there in goal to goal and you don't, and you come up short or you don't get 2-point plays. Well, that's the backbreaker right there. That's the absolute backbreaker. And I'm interested to see if there were some guys that were open that were missed. I can't believe that. I can't believe that Brandon Cooks was covered the whole game.
Shocking, right?
I can't believe that.
And the
now,
target rate for Cooks. I mean, it seemed like at times,
hey, give
2 targets the whole time.
Yeah. Give CD a lot of credit, though. 11 for 192. Unfortunately, though, he just couldn't get one in the end zone. That's what you needed.
You did. That's absolutely what you needed. And you're right when it comes to that. I mean, obviously, CeeDee Lamb was great. Again, set a new career high for yards today. And he ends up with 11 for $192. And then you had Ferguson, who was very, very good for the most part. 7 catches, 91 yards. I mean, you had the big drop. We mentioned it from Gallup. He comes back, catches a big first down. But I am shocked.
Draws a PI call that was for 30. What was that one? For 30-some-odd yards, right?
Put you at midfield.
Yeah.
To help you get down there with a chance to win this thing.
The PI call for 36 yards. Yeah.
Overall, defensively, and we talked about it at half, and it was 17-14. Eagles come out, they score 14 straight, and your defense did end up making a couple of stops at the end there to give your offensive a chance. But what did you think of the way the defense played?
You know what? I felt like Dallas' secondary played scared. I know they tried to play as much man coverage, and but they did not do a very good job of disrupting what needed to be done on the back end. And then when there were opportunities, they had a couple of busts where there was some free routes that were open. Hurts didn't have, he only threw the ball 23 times for 207 yards, but it was 9 yards a shot. And I just felt like that maybe Dallas was in the press coverage stuff. They just weren't good enough. They didn't deny the ball nearly enough. After the second Eagle touchdown, though, in the third, they kind of found themselves in some little bit better coverage situations. Were a little bit more locked in, but to me, they played like a very timid group when it came to that man coverage.
Your calls, your texts, plus we will hear from head coach Mike McCarthy after a very heartbreaking 28-23 Eagles win over our Dallas Cowboys. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks a kickoff.
beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's Miller time.
At the Dallas 29, left to right in the green shirts. First down, Hurts back, plenty of time. Deep to the end zone, 1 for 1. Smith, did he hold it? He did. Devontae Smith, touchdown Eagles. They're back in front.
Back and forth game there in Philly. Cowboys fall 28-23. Zach Wolchuk along with the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus. We'll get to your phone calls here.
A lot of bitter people out there.
But yeah, well, I mean,
a lot
look,
of bitter people.
When you lose to the Eagles, especially in that fashion,
you have to take the crap that comes along with it.
That's how it goes.
Yep. Don't be bitter at me. Seriously. I mean, I have an opinion like you have an opinion. I mean, I'm not talking to you. I'm just talking about people on Twitter. You know, my opinion is that I felt like the calls even out. You didn't go win that football game. You had an opportunity to win that football game, and you didn't. That's what you should focus on and not the officiating. You should focus on game management, your blocking. Don't let that mask the issues that you have. Low-hanging fruit, folks, when you start to talk about that. Very low-hanging fruit.
Let's hear what the head coach of your Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy, had to say following this loss in Philly.
You kind of fighting from behind most of the second half and come down. That what happened that last sequence, first and goal and 6, just from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming from behind. I'm sorry, what, you want me to go just to the last series, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, just you're fighting from behind most of the second half, and then you have a shot down there, first and goal with the 6. Kind of like
Yeah, definitely. I think that, stating the obvious, it's a game of inches, and we came up, an inch or two short on a couple plays, but love the way our team plays. I love our play style. Give the Eagles credit. It's a great home environment here. I have a lot of appreciation for Jeff Lurie and what they've done here. So love to come here and compete, and we knew this was the kind of game it was going to be. And like I said, we came up short. So that's why we work the way we work, and that's what we'll do. We'll get back to work. So a lot of football left to be played, but we had our opportunities, and we were in position to win the game.
Coach, I don't know, did y'all get a replay? Can you talk about the replays and certainly the touchdown to Schoonmaker? How did you feel about how that went down?
I mean, I think you're talking about the process, or?
Well, yeah, was it short? I don't know how you felt.
Yeah, I mean, based on what they had up on the jumbotron, it definitely, I can see why they overturned it. But when they call it on, it could go either way. I mean, that's like you said, it's a game of inches. So we were short.
Mike, talk to you again. How do you come back from something like this? How much, in a strange way, is there a belief or a confidence that you have coming out of fighting back the way you did?
No, we had chances to win that game. I don't really think we were fighting back. I mean, we had the lead in the first half. We had that stretch of penalties there. I mean, it's the ebb and flow of a football game. I mean, that's the way these games go. I mean, they're a very good team. We feel great about our team, and we need to learn from these mistakes, because that's what these games come down to. I mean, it's and you get into these type of games, and even more so, if you get into playoff football, it's you have to make one more play in the other team. And that's what this game was tonight. We needed to make one more play.
Tim Cowshaw, Dallas Morning News. Is it kind of hard to believe you got from the 14 to the 6 as quickly as you did, and then you didn't win the game?
Well, I'll say this, we put a tremendous amount of time into those situations, more so than ever in my career, particularly last 3 years. So, no, I'm not surprised at all, because, even that last throw, I mean, that's something that you practice a lot. You don't get to call it, hopefully you're not calling it too much, but, our guys were very comfortable in that situation, that space, and it's because of the work they put in.
But then as far as failing with the 2 sacks and the delay.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, it's a game. It's an ebb and flow of a football game. I mean, there's back and forth. I mean, it's the second half. There was very little penalties called in the first half, and then, the penalties come into play for both teams in the second half.
Michael Kelton, Dallas Morning News, as you mentioned, the game of inches that it was on the fly home. Does that give you any solace about where this team could potentially be on the cusp of becoming?
I'll say this. I felt last week we kind of turned the corner. You know, I'm a huge believer in you get what you put into it, you know, whether it's life or in a game of football. And I thought our team really hit their stride going into last week's game, played well, did it again this week, came in here expected to play well and win. So as long as we stay after that, you know, there's an ebb and flow in every game, but there's a vibe that gets created when you get into routine and you start building that momentum and so forth. And that's why a win tonight would have been excellent because you know you get a nice chunk of confidence come out of these wins. But we know who we are. I mean, there's no excuses. You know, we need to make one more play tonight, and we didn't do that.
Michael Gallup had to drop early, and then seemed to kind of come up big at the point in the second half. Fuller had his first touchdown. What would you make of those two players?
I mean, that's our offense, and I think you know, and Dak is the spearhead of everything. You know, and his confidence that he has in all those guys. You know, he doesn't blink. You know, he runs the offense. He goes through his reads. Excellent communication by the coaches on the sideline. You know, prepping before every series. So, you know, we're getting better as an offense. You know, and the beauty is we got more growth in front of us.
Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy after a 28-23 Eagles win over the Cowboys. Cowboys falling to 5-3 now, 2-3 away from AT&T Stadium, where obviously they're undefeated on the season. Mike McCarthy brought to you by WinStar. As the casino of the Dallas Cowboys, WinStar knows what it means to be a star. With over 10,000 of your favorite electronic games, the all-new two-story WinStar Spa and Cascades, our luxury pool complex, WinStar really is the place to feel like a star. Please game responsibly. And to your point, and to Coach McCarthy's point, he's right. Penalties did even out at the end.
Yep.
Each team had 10, 83 yards.
People are not seeing that, though.
No,
people are not seeing that because that's what you focus on, because you don't know how your team got beat. And you really should focus on the stops you didn't make. You should focus on your red zone offense, which has been a problem all year. You should focus on the fact that you're playing against a team that's really good rushing the passer. And we talked about it all week that maybe if you block their front, you can make plays, which they absolutely did. But continue to focus on penalties. That's fine. But if you want to, the reality is there are some issues with this team, and the issues that they have, and sometimes it happens in coverage, or they don't get enough pass rush, or they get stupid penalties themselves along the way, lining up in the neutral zone, things like that, But if you want to focus on officiating, and I focus on officiating because I like to know what's coming into the game. Mm-hmm. I like to know what potential calls you can get. But let's be honest, the calls were made. The one call that I don't think was made was the hands to the face to Michael Gallup.
That one, and then
why you
I know
pick
the
up the
Schooney
flag
play was short, but Schoonmaker's also being tackled prior to the ball even getting there.
Yeah, and I'm sure when we watch the All-22, there will be some holdings that we have that probably aren't called by the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, Micah was noticeably upset, and he should have been.
Sure, and I guarantee you that both sides got away with some stuff. But if you want to continue to focus on holding and not learn about really what your issues are and why you don't win games like this, then be that person. Be that person that put your head in the sand and don't look at the real issues. When you go to Philadelphia and you had a chance to win the game, you weren't good enough today. And McCarthy even said it. We didn't make one more play, And that's how you have to win these games. You have to go make plays, not sit there and bitch about officiating, which a lot of you are doing right now.
Let's go to the phones. We've got the voice of your Dallas Cowboys, Brad Sham, joining us here from Philadelphia. Brad, your takeaways as we've been breaking down a lot of various plays that ended up coming up for the Cowboys just short, some highs, some lows. Certainly a lot to unpack from this one.
Yeah, there really was, Zach. And I mean, my first big takeaway is, we all saw what happened in San Francisco. So the first thing I want to know is, can they play with these guys? And they can. So we found out they can. Okay, now it's a game of inches. You got to get Schoonover a little deeper into the end zone, and that's probably going to be a touchdown. Your right tackle just didn't have a good night.
Nope.
And those sacks were critical in determining the outcome coming down because you made a lot of plays. And you probably, on some nights, without the mistakes, and I'm with you, I'm leaving all the officiating aside because it probably went against, both teams. I mean, for crying out loud, the Eagles gave them half a field at that last possession.
Sure did. So
let's leave that aside and concentrate on what you can do something about. And, can you tight end run your routes deeper? Play caller, let's really examine why it took us, kind of a little longer than you wanted to get going. And, I think that there were, and then, 6 inches here and 6 inches there. Today, the Eagles were better. And the biggest takeaway to me, Zach, is still, if you go out and do your business for the next 4 games, I think there's a decent chance the Eagles lose at least 1 and maybe 2 of their next 3 after the bye. And then you're both 9-3 on December 10th, and nobody would not have taken that at the beginning of the year.
Brad, we talked about it really all week that potentially that they were going to need to think about doing some help, give Steele some help in this game. And I just kept watching, and it was single block, and I had just these terrible feelings that, like, this game is going to come down to their inability to pass block. And you're absolutely right. Those sacks were just throughout the game were just devastating to this team.
Yeah, especially down the stretch, the one by Reddick and then the 2 there in the fourth quarter. And I'm pretty sure that there might have been one on a game up the middle.
Yeah,
but
Carter got home on one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But I think the other 4 all came over Steele, and he just couldn't block the guy. And so, you have to look and see, okay, do we need to give him help?
Yeah.
Should we have given help? Do we need to give help next time? How does that affect everything else? And yeah, that was a big factor in the game.
What was your take on the defense's performance? I know Bryan and I were looking at each other thinking, are they going to be able to get a stop? They did come out and force 3 punts there late in the fourth quarter to give the offense a chance. But as a whole, what did you think of the performance of the D?
The Philly's really good. And keep in mind, they're playing with one hand behind their back because their quarterback can't run.
Right.
But they're really good. And I think that I don't know, if you have Diggs, that's one thing. You don't have Diggs. So matching up with the tight end and the 2 wide receivers, plus the backs, the way they use them, their scheme's outstanding. And I think matching up is a problem. And I really think that's one of the reasons, now having seen it, that teams don't try to run more. They're going to score, and you're just going to have to throw the ball to stay in the game with them. And that works to their advantage, because when they're wide open, you can't cover Brown. I don't know how you cover Brown. And so, I think the defense they didn't get a takeaway. And that is one of the things that we know for sure is the hallmark of this defense. When they don't get takeaways, then they slide a little bit closer to average.
Right.
When they do get takeaways, then they are what they want to be, and you can throw around words like dominating and elite. But they're pretty good when they don't get when they don't get takeaways, and they didn't tonight, and they needed a couple.
Yeah, they sure did, Brad. And you know what? I felt like, though, and I'm always interested to see the All-22 if there were some other things that maybe the quarterback could have seen. But I thought overall, though, in a game where there was really no running game for him to lean on, or to even, him having to drop back 40-some-odd times and try and win this football game, I don't think that was the issue today. I think he did absolutely what he had to do. They just couldn't finish this thing off, though.
I think you're 100. Did he drop back 40 times?
44 passes.
44 passes in this one.
So I would say with the resources they have devoted to their defensive front, if you can't have better balance than that, if you have to drop back 40 times, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying you're asking an awful lot to bottle up that pass rush for 40-something plays.
Right.
It's probably not going to happen. So, you've got to try to run, and they did try to run. They ran decently, but mainly, you got to be a little better on offense, and you cannot have of course, they had killer penalties too.
Right.
But the difference is things like Schoonmaker not being in the end zone instead of almost straddling the line.
Well, yeah, Brad, the replay looked like they were trying to run a pick, and Ferguson was too deep on the pick to try and get Schoonmaker's guy, Blankenship. So, that's execution. That's stuff they practice down there.
Right. So can they do that? Can Schoonmaker not be a foot into the end zone instead of just outside the goal line? To me, I think the mesh point was not good for either where they needed to be. Okay.
I don't think it was deep enough, and maybe Ferguson was deep enough, but to me, it looked like they were trying to run a pick, and they couldn't make Blankenship have to run the hump to get to Schoonmaker.
Yeah.
See, that makes sense, and so it is execution.
Yeah.
So it comes down to what I heard you say a minute ago, Brian, which is you just didn't quite play well enough tonight.
Nope, you didn't.
Brad?
And I will tell you this, I did not expect them to sweep the Philadelphia Eagles this year.
No.
I think they'll have a good chance to beat the Eagles in a month.
Agreed. I think we were looking at this as probably a split, and I think you're absolutely right. They've got a great chance to beat them at AT&T Stadium when we see them again. Fly home safely, sir. We'll do it again next week.
Okay, sounds good. Have a good night, boys.
You as well. There he goes, the voice of your Dallas Cowboys. So much to unpack. 877-881-1053. Whether it was, the execution there at the end. I know a lot of people still, of course, talking about the officiating. We will hear from Dak Prescott. We'll hear from Stephon Gilmore. We've got more player audio. I do want to hear from you as well after a 28-23 heartbreaking Cowboys loss against the Eagles today. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Is your workplace on top of its game? For over 100 years, Pollock Aurora has been taking care of business, improving their bottom lines, and helping them grow with proven results.
Here comes Lamb in motion. Claps his hands, wants the ball, gets the ball, goes in the left flat. Ferguson wide open at the 3 and bangs his way in for the Cowboys touchdown.
Jake Ferguson today, very good for the Cowboys. 7 catches, 91 yards, did have that touchdown. Unfortunately, as we know, Cowboys just coming up short in what is ultimately a game of inches, and that's never been more apparent than the way today ended.
Yeah, it was tough, and, we'll try and figure out with route depths, things like that. I just think I think the biggest play that was the most unfortunate play was the Prescott 2-point play. Because he had the corner, he just couldn't quite turn it, and you see him, he's going to try to extend the ball, and he knows that he has to push off his outside foot to get there, and it just you're so close to that sidelines, it's a tough way to go out, but hell of an effort to try and get it there. He knew what he had to do, he just couldn't quite turn the corner quick enough to make it happen.
This was interesting, and you're right. I mean, that play was one we circled. Probably one of the biggest of the game. You get that 2-point conversion, you're in a position where you can kick a field goal to tie. Maybe this game goes to overtime. I saw this from Ed Werder. Cowboys' loss, largely the result of continued poor execution in the red zone. They ranked 29th in red zone touchdown percentage and 31st in goal-to-go touchdown percentage.
The goal-to-go problem is big because they just don't the closer they get, it restricts what offense they have. And maybe that was a little bit different when you had a guy like Ezekiel Elliott and you're able to kind of get shoe-to-shoe in there, and then he's able to always fall forward and get those tough yards. And that's something that the Cowboys will probably look back at. And they really don't have, when you look at the way that they throw the football, I was worried that they weren't going to have a good enough 2-point play to run. We saw that when we were in Oxnard. There were 5 straight times that they ran these 2-point plays with picks and things with Cooks and Ferguson and all that. I'm thinking, man, this is going to be okay with the creativity then, but we have not seen anything like that at all. It's been extremely tough. They've had problems with some blocks at the point of attack, whether that's tight end blocking. They've had problems with Steele. They've had Tyron Smith has missed blocks this year. Smith's missed blocks. When you get down there, the last thing you could do is miss a block.
Yeah.
It turns into a negative play or a no gain, and they've had a few of those this year.
All right, I do want to get to the phones. I know we got a lot of people that are lined up trying to get in. 877-881-1053, always the number to call and the number to text. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus here on the official postgame of your Dallas Cowboys. Phones brought to you by the National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org and AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll get to your quarterback, Dak Prescott, as well. Hear from him in just a moment. Well, let's go out to Big Spring. We got Kyle on. Kyle, how you doing, sir?
Good. How are y'all? Appreciate y'all taking my call. And I think y'all spot on with y'all's post-game analysis, other than the fact y'all's giving Dak a little bit too much credit, because I think the play of the game was when Philadelphia bailed us out by calling a timeout on the 4th down. And I'm saying to myself, you got to go to Ferguson if you can man him up 101, and flat out missed him. I was screaming at the top of my lungs.
I was too. I was with you.
Yeah, it was just an easy. Everybody keeps wanting to go back and say we're one play away. Well, you got a timeout handed to you, and your 2 main players, your coach and your quarterback, which are the leaders of your team, and they can't come up with a better play than that. Me being able to know that you need to go to your tight end there, and them not knowing that is, that just shows you what's wrong with the Cowboys. Well, we can keep going over this every week. It's been 30 years since I've called in to the Cowboys, but every week it's when a game matters, it's the same thing every time.
Kyle,
it's about winning or losing. Either you're a winner or you're a loser. You see it in Kansas City today. They can play bad and they win. You can see it in Philadelphia. They play bad and they win. Dallas, they can't win when it matters, and it comes down to your coach and your quarterback. Fourth down,
Kyle,
Philadelphia hands you a gift.
I hear you, Kyle. Thank you. Yeah, no, a lot of the things he's saying there, I know you wanted to interject and say something.
I did. I was, the thing that I wanted to say is I felt like that anybody in the Eagles secondary you could have thrown the ball on and probably got a completion. That's why I'm interested to see, where Ferguson was. And I guarantee you're saying it, Zach's saying it, that he was open. if in fact he was, they miss an opportunity, that's on the quarterback. The quarterback's got to see that. But to me, I don't think it mattered. I saw Eli Ricks out there. I've seen him at Alabama. I've seen him at LSU. Any ball his direction was going to probably be a catch. So that's the thing about it. He thought he could take a shot with Tolbert and make it happen, and it didn't work out that way. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes.
All right, let's go to Chip in New Mexico. I know Chip wants to talk about that final drive. How you doing?
Hey, guys. Yeah, I got a comment, and then I have a question.
Okay.
The Cowboys they still can't deal with prosperity. I mean, when it comes down to these final drives, they checked every box on that final drive in that situation that you cannot do. They checked every box. I mean, it was just a disaster watching it. And then I have a question for Bryan. How can the Cowboys coaches not watch this tape and see that our linebacker and safeties are non-factors on the football field?
Oh, no, yeah. Did you tweet at me tonight?
33?
Did you tweet at me that tonight?
Is just running around out there and has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah, this is when Leighton Vander Esch, the loss of him really hurts you in games like this. With Damone Clark. And Damone Clark has played better the last couple of weeks. But that in games like this, yeah. And I've said all along, though, I didn't think Kearse played particularly well tonight. And I got killed for talking about my Malik Hooker tape. But I think Malik Hooker can't run, So, and Wilson, hell, he tried to.
Like Jordan Lewis was getting picked on quite a bit.
Jordan Lewis was another one. I mean, this is why at the trade deadline, I'm sitting there talking about go get a corner. Or go get a linebacker. Go get somebody. That's the thing. With Evans, he gets an opportunity to play tonight. What does he do? He gets a
face mask.
A face mask play where he rips the guy's damn helmet off.
Several times, Eagles got awarded great field position for stupid penalties like that.
Kick the ball off out of bounds, and then all of a sudden you rip the guy's helmet off. How stupid is that? And you want to know why you lose games. There's exhibit 1 and 2 just to start. Probably 7 other ones that you're going to find when you look at this tape.
All right, let's sneak in one more call here, and then we'll come back. We'll get back to your phone calls. We'll also hear from Dak Prescott. Let's go to LaShawn in Little Elm. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Zach? What's up, Bryan, man? Thank you guys for having me on, man. I want to say your quarterback gave you a chance. Yeah, he wasn't perfect. He needed to be, but that's the problem with your roster, though.
Right.
And the coaches are not maximizing this roster, man. You got offensive liabilities. You got coaching liabilities on games management and scheming up plays when you need to scheme up plays. And then that fourth down play, like 88 and 87, we all know you should be going to 88 and 87 on that fourth down play.
Sure.
That's my take on it, man. What do you guys think about that?
No, I'm with you, Lashad. And like I said, I mean, I did think, just from the TV copy, it looked like
you
Ferguson
immediately
won.
Screamed that Ferguson was open.
It looked like he was wide open. He won off the line, and I'm surprised because Dak usually is looking to make that throw over the middle. I was surprised he went out to go to Tolbert, and I think Brad and Babe were talking about it. I know the TV call was talking about it as well. Regardless on that situation, if you're not going to go to Ferguson, to LaShawn, to your point, go to your best player, which is CeeDee Lamb.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally. And that's I'm sure we'll see that there was a missed opportunity there. There's probably going to be 4 or 5 other missed opportunities as well.
All right, we will hear from Dak Prescott. I appreciate everybody who's calling in and being part of this one. We will hear from you all night long as the postgame rolls on until 9:30. The text as well, 877-881-1053. We'll hear from Dak Prescott on the other side. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing.
Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
But Hurts will be in the gun on 2nd and goal from the 3. And he will float it out into the left flat to A.J. Brown, who makes a move on the cornerback Bland and cuts into the end zone. Touchdown, Eagles.
That was the double move, and that was a similar thing to what we saw Keenan Allen get Deron Bland a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And fortunately, Justin Herbert wasn't able to make the throw. Jalen Hurts did there, and Deron Bland, who, again, I think for the most part, had himself a good game.
Yeah, I think once he kind of
that one got him.
Yeah, I think that there were some things that he was able to figure out of the guys that were playing the press man coverage. He seemed to be the most competent of the guys that were playing. I think that maybe that with Gilmore, there's issues with Gilmore in the way that that he plays. But I felt like that Bland battled when he had to battle, and but again, unfortunately, that it wasn't good enough. Early in that football game, the Eagles took it to him pretty good, and in the second half, that the 2 drives to start the second half were, they needed to get stops. They got stops, you didn't get stops, and that kind of was starting to be the difference of the game.
Yeah, a couple of times it seemed like they had a chance to get off the field. You did have that one call on Gilmore for PI, which I didn't see anything. That was a little bit of a phantom call there.
A little bit of phantom call there, yep.
All right, let's go and hear from your quarterback, Dak Prescott, and then I promise you we'll get back to your reaction after a 28-23 Eagles win over our Cowboys. We will get the rematch at AT&T Stadium coming up in about a month. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus, as we'll get to Dak here in just a second. And again, a lot of feedback, and there always will be. The quarterback is the most polarizing position in all of sports. You win, quarterback gets the praise. You lose, he's going to get all the blame. And I do want to stress this. You're not in the game without Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was asked to be perfect today because of everything you outlined there, Bryan.
Yep.
The run game. Yep. I think the one thing you could look at is the final drive. The sack there, Terrence Steele was bad. Some people are texting in, hey, should Dak, you can't take a sack. Throw that ball away. Sure, I would have liked to see that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple of plays, the sequence of events there, there was a lot of reasons why. Maybe the false start delay game, that's not on him, right? That Tyler Smith, false starts. Tyler Broaddus doesn't get the snap off.
Tyler Broaddus had been snapping the ball right at 1-0.
And there were a couple of times Dak's clapping
to get the ball. Yeah.
Get me the ball.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing I'll say is just the frustration of, man, you really want your quarterback to go and find a way to get that ball in the end zone. And I think we all thought that it was going to happen. You didn't think that it was going to be 4th and goal from the 25-yard line once you had it at 1st and 5 at the 6.
Yeah. That's the sequence of those plays did not help you at all. But it goes back to, really, when you ask your quarterback to be your primary guy, and in this game against the Eagles, asking him to throw the ball 40 times in this game was probably going to be not great.
It hasn't been a recipe for success.
Not for him, it hasn't. I mean, when Dak's numbers are generally like 22 of 28 or 23 of 27, that's generally he didn't have a turnover tonight. The protection at times was not great. Having to deal with all that, if they did get a little bit more protection at time, I guarantee you there are going to be some routes that were open.
Yes.
That when we look back at the sack,
some plays,
and you're going to go, well, damn, if he'd had 2 seconds more, then they would have found a way to that could have been a huge play.
Again, I think when you lose games, everybody is going to
It's
get
easy
criticized,
to blame him. It's easy to blame him.
You didn't lose the game solely because of Dak Prescott. And I don't think that we are trying to say that. I don't want people to think that. But I do think certain plays, like we're referencing, that final drive, it's fair to criticize.
No,
and
absolutely.
It's fair to want better.
No, absolutely. And but they, like I say, I need better from the play caller. I need better from the offensive line coach. I need better from the offensive line. I need better from the running game.
Execution from your tight ends.
Your tight end. Yeah, there's so many things that go in to losing football games. And we get lazy and blame it on the quarterback a lot of the time.
I hear you. All right, let's go to Dak, courtesy of AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Blockchain. Trust the team at blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder with blockchain.com. Here's Dak Prescott.
Clarence Hill for Wichita Telegram. Game of interest, you just talk about, you guys were so close a couple of times with the Schoonmaker and you balance 2-point conversion in at the end, see this a couple yards short.
Yeah, you said it. It's a game of inches. That's why you got to love this game. It's tough. It's tough to win. We fought our asses off. Obviously, they did. Great NFC's matchup. They came out with it tonight. But as you just said, an inch or two on one of those three plays, and we could be talking about a different outcome. So, but they got this one. Sucks. We're gonna take it. We're gonna move forward and use the fight. Use a lot of the success. A lot of good things came out of this game despite the loss. On the road, division game, great opponent they are. Success that they've had in their environment. As I said, it sucks in the moment, but. A lot of good we can take from this and use as we keep going.
Dak talks with ESPN, CD Lamb and what he's been able to do these last few weeks. You've told us before it's about the work you guys have all put in. Is there anything above and beyond that where you guys just feel like you're locked in with each other?
I mean, it goes back to the work. It goes back to the chemistry, the trust. A lot of guys put in work in the offseason. There's many days where it was just me and CD, to be honest with you. So, I mean, and when that happens, there becomes, communication, a chance to talk, a chance to just get on the same page. And as I said last week and before, I mean, you got to credit Mike, Shotty, those guys for the designs and putting him in favorable matchups. And then obviously it's just CD Lamb being CD Lamb, being a big-time player, some run after catch, making big-time catches, and wanting the ball, wanting to be in those positions, wanting to be in those situations, as we talked about probably a month ago, right, from the frustration. And that's where that came from, is he knows what he can bring to this team. He knows what he can do with the ball in his hand, and it's just been consecutive weeks now that he's continued to show that, and don't expect anything to change.
You get down to the 6 on that last drive. After starting at the 15, what's going through your mind? Because you get down there pretty quickly.
I mean, at no point in my mind throughout that game did I think anything different. Obviously, it sucked in the first possession, or that second to last possession, not converting that fourth down, but having tons of trust in our defense. They go out there and they do what they need to do, get us the ball back, and with under a minute left, still got trust that we're going to go out there and we're going to trust and faith just in our guys and with the work that we've put in, that we're going to get it done. And yeah, we got close. We got close. We were doing things the right way. We just got an inch here, an inch there, make that difference, and we'll find a way to gain that.
Yeah, it's not just the Athletic. You talked about trust. You went to Luke Schoonmaker and Jalen Tolbert in some big moments. How have you developed that trust in a lot of these supplementary weapons outside of CD and those guys?
Yeah, I mean, they're doing things the right way. They come in each and every day with the right approach. Young guys who are hungry to learn, young guys who are hungry to make plays. They want more responsibility. And when you see them make catches and make plays like that's what it comes from, is them practicing the right way, them being in the right spot, doing things at practice, making those catches at practice when we compete and go against our defense. And then when you get out here, you just have trust. I mean, I've talked about it before. That's me just going through my reads, trusting the guys that coaches put in those spots, and these young guys have been stepping up and making plays.
When you guys got down to the goal line, it looked like you signaled that 71 was eligible. Can you take us through the
I mean, yeah, obviously, everybody saw I did. I don't know why he didn't give me a yes or a no. He looked like, I don't know. I mean, I assumed after I did it enough times that I was wasting his time. And then so, I really don't understand that. And he said that he's got to do it himself, and Chuma said he did it, and so I just went to make sure, but I thought I didn't hear it over the intercom. Obviously, I've got stuff going in my head, and so that's why I checked with him, and I thought anybody could report, especially the quarterback could report for him, but you learn something every day.
Very frustrating there as Dak Prescott after this 28-23 loss, and it did seem, you could tell specifically on that Adoga call.
Yeah.
That he did. I mean, he told him he was eligible.
Yeah, that's the thing about it is usually they'll come over the intercom, like he said, they'll click the mic and they'll say 71's eligible, 71's an eligible receiver. And when you didn't hear that, then you have to assume that the officials didn't check in. So Adoga, maybe he did say something. Maybe that Trey Blake did not hear him or did not acknowledge him, and Dak tried to. But yeah, if you're the one checking in, you have to report to the official.
All right, we will react more to Dak's comments there, plus your calls and texts. But right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification across the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan. Solo, baby. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Seen some various reports from Cowboys media members that were inside the locker room. Very torn up was the team, but even Micah saying that they feel more confident now. There's some positives they can take away from this one. We'll hear more takeaways from Tyler Smith, Stephon Gilmore coming up in a little bit as well. I mean, there are. I know you said earlier, hey, it's tough to learn from these because obviously you weren't good enough, and it's a game you could have easily won.
You could have easily won this game, and it's a lot easier when you make mistakes along the way and you find a way to win. Those corrections and stuff like, okay, we still won the game. And that's what Philadelphia's really been doing all year. It's Philadelphia. They tried to give opening day. They tried to give the game to the Patriots. They fumbled a couple of times, went on a 4th down, tried to give it, and Patriots couldn't beat them. They've lived like this for the majority of the season. The only team that got them were the Jets. But, that's where you're at right now. I mean, your margin of error is tough right now. And,
especially in a game like that against a good team on the road.
Absolutely. The margin of error, you just can't, you can't make mistakes. You can't kick the ball out of bounds. You can't you can't have a face masking penalty. You can't get a defensive holding. You can't not be in the end zone. You can't not, stay in bounds. You got to do.
You have an opportunity for 3 fumbles. The ball doesn't go your way. Eagles get back on it.
Right. That's how teams win games. And unfortunately for the Cowboys, they did not get that done tonight.
Got a lot of texts about 27 seconds left. The frustration there was Dak not throwing the football away and taking the sack.
I'm going to say it for the 100th time today because I'm going to get up at 6 in the morning and I'm going to watch this tape. And at 2:40 tomorrow, I'm going to tell you exactly what I saw. And I guarantee you, it's really easy to say throw the ball away as the pocket is getting compressed on you. And we'll see. Maybe he had the opportunity to throw it away, but when you look at how those sacks were, how they happened, could it be twist fronts? Could the outside? I mean, Steele was not good in this game.
8 pressures allowed. Yeah. Same amount as he gave up in the 49er game.
There you go. See, that's what I'm saying. You don't know. You could say throw the ball away, but you don't know without really studying it how compressed that pocket was. Was there opportunities? I'll promise I'll report on it tomorrow for you.
And that's a good way to look at it.
It looks like to me that there were several times the pocket compressed on him, and there was really no place for him to
go,
to make a step or to try. Sometimes you got to be careful because if the pocket gets compressed and you're trying to throw the ball away and you get hit and they rule that a fumble, because it's the ball's got knocked loose early and it's an open hand, you're going to all you guys are talking about the officiating. You want to put that in the official's hands? If he gets hit in the pocket trying to throw it away, I wouldn't. I sure would.
In a perfect world, I would have loved him to throw it away.
Everybody, you absolutely do. You absolutely want him to throw it away, But that's without really seeing what his situation was in the pocket, and my gut feeling was I think it got pretty compressed on him.
All right, we will get back to your calls, 877-881-1053, as we continue to unpack this 28-23 loss to the Eagles, which has everybody fired up and emotional. There's nothing worse than losing to Filthy, and I feel the sadness along with you. We'll hear from you next. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment.
Turpin caught it. Turpin ordered the ribs and caught it for a touchdown.
Oh, good call there from Brad Sham.
Ordered the ribs.
Hey, Kevontae Turpin, I mean, if you're looking for bright spots, and there were several. I mean, obviously, it's defeating, and it's deflating, and it's a gut punch. Anytime you lose to the Eagles, it's the worst. There's nobody I hate more than the Philadelphia Eagles. But Turpin, we were a little nervous. Leaves the game. It looked to us, we were like, oh, no, is that a shoulder? Is it a collarbone? Then they reported it was ribs, and he comes right back in the game, catches that touchdown.
Seemed like it was either his collarbone or his shoulder.
He was kind of rotating it. He was kind of favoring the shoulder a little bit.
If you to me, ribs, you're not rotating your shoulder like that. You're trying to kind of get things loose in there. I thought it was either his collarbone or his shoulder because the way he went into the ground and then the defender falling on top of him as well.
I will say this, and Turpin did end up, with a couple of huge returns for you, and then he caught that 5-yard touchdown pass. With Jalen Tolbert, and we were critical, hey, maybe you don't throw to Jalen Tolbert on that 4th down. There might have been somebody else open. We have talked about that play.
Yeah.
I thought I saw Ferguson open, and I'm excited for you to go back and watch in the morning.
Oh, I'll catch it in the morning.
But we love Michael Gallup as a person, but we've talked about the struggles this year, and we've been waiting for Michael Gallup to get going. With what you saw from Jalen Tolbert today, 3 catches, 49 yards, that touchdown, with Turpin and the explosiveness he brings and how he's really becoming a very well-rounded player, not just a special team ace, but as a receiver as well. Is it time for them to start taking away some snaps from MG?
I think they started to during the game, and then they were having to run so many routes. Again, no running game. I mean, all you're doing is really running, 40-yard dashes when you're a wide receiver for the Cowboys in this game. So, unfortunately, that Gallup, it just hasn't been the same for him. I think last year he was dealing with some things off the field that affected him. He was dealing with the injury, which he should have been okay from. But there's definitely his confidence comes and goes, and whether it's, I think the opportunities I think you have to naturally give Tolbert more opportunities. I don't know if the coaches will just pull Gallup off the field, but I think you'll start to see where you'll see more of 18 on the field than you will 13 as we get through some of these games, just as a natural way of doing things.
I agree, and I think you're right. We did notice MG on the sideline there, specifically after the drop, but you're starting to see Jalen Tolbert get a lot more run, and he is starting to perform much, much better. I know a lot of fans were writing him off after a rookie year. You can't do that, folks. You gotta hang in there with some of these young players. I know some fans might want to do it with Schoonmaker right now, but hey, Scooney still has the chance to develop into a good player.
Yeah, I think the thing that, and I know myself from working on the draft show with you and all, we were talking about him as a blocker and all that. I think that's going to take some time for him. I felt like that he was just going to come right in and be a plug-and-play guy when it came to that point of attack blocking, but they've struggled with that as a tight end group as a whole. It was nice to see him get the opportunity to catch the ball. It's just unfortunate that they tried to run. I really do believe they missed on a rub route there that would have got him open if him and Ferguson would have been at the proper depth. And maybe what you're thinking about is Ferguson might have been doing it the right way, and maybe Schoonmaker the wrong way just because of your experience factor. But they just didn't get Blankenship, off him, and that's why he was able to make. Blankenship. You talk about some calls and stuff like that. That was Schoonmaker got tackled before the ball got there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that I'll be watching it and thinking, well, so and so tackled so and so before the ball got early there too. It's again, you go back, you just need to focus on the things that caused you to lose the game, and I don't think it was the officiating. I'll say it again. I think that you need to focus on some of your execution and what did you see, what plays. How as a play caller, how did you get your team in the best position to have success? That's what coaches are supposed to do.
All right, about to get back to the phones. We do need to hear from Tyler Smith, though, as we get some tape from the locker room brought to you by Blockchain. You don't need a complicated play to bring it into the end zone. That's why you should trust the team at Blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder with Blockchain.com. Here's your starting guard, Tyler Smith.
I mean, it's heartbreaking. I can't lie to you. Obviously not the result we wanted. Felt like, we were right on the cusp of, pulling through the way we needed to. But it's just, it's the little things. It's the details that just are really important when it comes down to crunch time like that. But we'll be back. We'll be better.
Where do you feel like you guys could have been better tonight?
I felt like we did pretty good. I can speak for myself. I felt like the end there I had a breakdown in our final drive that just can't happen. Then they called me for a false start. I felt like it was ticky-tack, but I'm not going to make excuses and say anything. You know, it is what it is, but that's just something I got to be better at. That's something I got to improve on because, you know, we can't have that, especially if we want to win a championship. We just can't have it.
Down by 11, start the fourth quarter. What was the confidence level of this group that you guys could come back and win this game?
I mean, extremely high. Like we know who we are. We know what we're capable of, and we knew it was just a matter of us seizing a moment, just seizing everything that was in front of us. And you know, unfortunately, we didn't get the result we wanted, but you know, I'm confident that, you know, we're going to respond the right way. I'm absolutely certain in that.
Games like this can test you guys as a group. Is this really about how you guys respond coming off of this game and move on to the next?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think we showed today that we can contend with anybody, absolutely anybody. Like, we are part of that upper echelon. It's just going to be a matter of tightening up the small things, just, you know, seizing the moments that we got to seize and, you know, doing what we got to do. So we'll be back and we'll be better.
Tyler, the offense did so much today, but the defense continued to hold off the Eagles toward the end of the game. What did it mean that they kept giving you chances?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, complimentary football is obviously the name of the game. You know, we just got to capitalize on every moment. We knew coming in that we have to use every drive to our advantage. Like, you know, 3 and outs were just something that we're trying to avoid. Like, we got to move the ball, we got to score, because we know that, you know, they're going to hold the ball. And, you know, they're no slouches either. They can score as well. So we just got to take advantage of every opportunity.
A reflective and honest Tyler Smith there following a 28-23 loss to the Eagles. I know he's talking about, breakdown there, which was the Jalen Carter sack late in that game, the false start, which I would looked at you and I said, man, we always got to snap that ball.
Yeah.
You know, it's a long time for Tyler Smith's expecting, hey, let's go.
The crowd noise obviously was a factor in today's game. When you look at, because every single time it was, and Broaddus is one of those guys that whips his head, you know, when he's right before he snaps, he has this little motion that he does before he snaps. And the ball was getting consistently snapped at 2-1-0, really the entire day. And so, you know, when you're trying to, you know, you're thinking about being quick off the ball. Tyler's thinking about being quick off the ball. And so now he's naturally like, I got to get out of my stance. I got to get this pass block. But if the ball's not delivered when it needs to be delivered because you're playing with some, you know, you're not playing with that urgency or that quickness, then you're going to have those motion penalties. And that's what happened in this game.
Let's get back out to the phones. We had a lot of people that have been waiting. Let's go to Country in Dallas. Country on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. It's been a while since I called in. Give me about a minute and 15 seconds because I'm going to go through some things. I played college ball myself, and I'm with you, Brian. I wish one day I could just sit down with you and pick your brain. But let's think about this right here, okay? We get on Dak about everything. We want Dak to be perfect, and I'm one of those guys that get on him. But we have to also understand that if this was any other quarterback that had played the way he played, they would say, man, he played great. You know, he did what did. This man threw his body on the line. He came out of places where he should have been sacked and did all that stuff today and still threw for almost 400 yards. Now, we can nitpick him to death. But we talk about why we don't have a good team, okay? Your offensive line ain't worth a flip nickel. You got defensive backs back there that's too old, slow, can't read the defense. You don't have no linebackers. And the one ultimate person that you need to put blame on is Jerry Jones. Because anybody who wants to win a championship is always trying to get better. Look at San Francisco. They always adding pieces to the puzzle. Look at all the other teams across the NFL. They're always adding pieces to the puzzle. Jerry Jones comes on y'all's show, and he plays with y'all and say, oh, I'm confident in my roster. How can you be confident in your roster when you don't have a running back that can run between the tackles? Yeah, we like our back, but he's not that back. If you got a back that can do that, that changes how defenses are going to play you, and it helps Dak. If you got Dak throwing 40 times a game, what are we to do?
Right.
Okay, you can't do anything else. Yep. Okay, and Tony Pollard, yes, great guy, quick, but he's lost a step since last year since his injury. He's not the same old person. But you didn't go get another wide receiver. You got Lamb out there. I'm saying he's going for 200 a game. Who else gonna step up? Michael Gallup, he's not doing. You gotta have pieces. Look at Patrick Mahomes without any weapons. He's got way more interceptions than Dak. But we ride Dak till the cows come home. But you got people out there on that defense that's slower than molasses, and you got an owner that don't give a rat's.
I appreciate the call, Country. Very passionate. bringing it, and we did. I mean, we talked at the trade deadline there. It is frustrating. You see the Eagles make a move to go get a guy in Byard at safety. They had a weakness. They went and addressed it. The 49ers, they wanted to get better with their pass rush. What'd they do? They went and traded for Chase Young. They signed former Cowboy Randy Gregory, right? They're improving their football team.
Right.
I get the fan base being, and I'll include myself in there, if there's a move to be made, go and make it instead of necessarily waiting for a deal that's on your terms. Sometimes you do maybe need to overpay to go make something happen. And they decided they didn't want to do that, and we'll see. I believe they're still a playoff team. They're going to win a lot of games this year, and they'll be in the position in January. We'll see. Does that come back to bite them against the Niners or the Eagles or whoever, the Lions, whoever they might play?
What are your thoughts about Terrence Steele?
I think
not just today.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about Terrence Steele just for the year or what just overall?
Terrence Steele has not been the same player post-injury. And I think that's an injury we hear all the time. Usually it takes a full year.
Mm-hmm.
The first year you're going to struggle.
Yep.
The next year maybe you get back to that form. But this version of Terrence Steele is not the one ultimately that they gave the contract extension to, and the one that was arguably the best run-blocking combination alongside Zach Martin prior.
They haven't done a very good job of that together. They really haven't. And I don't particularly like what I'm seeing from Terrence Steele because I've always felt like that he's a pretty good foot athlete. I always worried about when people overpower him, and I think that's one of his biggest problems. If you just straight take him to the quarterback, it could be an issue. But he's starting to get beat on plays to the edge, and that's something that has not happened to him before. And maybe it has something to do with the knee injury coming back from that. I know he worked his ass off, and talking to people in the organization and seeing it with our own eyes. He was out there every single day trying to get better. And I just don't feel like that right now that he's the same player that we've seen in the past. And it hurt him tonight. But the Eagles pass rush, the edge rushers, good players. The key to today's game was can you block their front throwing the ball? We knew the running game was probably not going to be existent. But they didn't. They didn't do a good enough job of when they really had to have that firm pocket or give Dak the opportunity to look at the field. They just didn't have it today.
Yeah, 5 sacks on Dak Prescott today. And to your point, I believe 4 of the 5 were a result of Terrence Steele getting beat, whether it was Hassan Reddick, whether it was Brandon Graham. And as I mentioned earlier, 8 pressures and 8 pressures also against San Francisco. And yeah, San Francisco's got some really good players like Nick Bosa.
Yep.
The Eagles have some really good players, to your point. But if this team's going to get to go where they want to be, and that's a Super Bowl championship, you're going to need him to perform better against the better defenses.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
All right, we will get back to your phone calls. Now we got Johnny. We got Richmond in Virginia. We got a lot of people waiting. We will get to you. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
People will always come and go in our lives, but we all know those few who never left. The ones who make you stronger, build you up when you're broken down. The partners who've always had you covered. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, we know what it means to be there, guiding you toward a healthier state of mind. Because the more we know as individuals, the healthier we all feel as a community through it all.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Fly to Philly, take off to Tampa, depart for Denver. Following your team on the road is more rewarding with the American Airlines Advantage program. Your flights and everyday spend not only earn you miles toward your next trip, but also loyalty points toward Advantage status. All the more reason to purchase both a home and away jersey. With status comes great benefits like priority boarding, free checked bags, and complimentary upgrades. Not a member? Enroll for free today at AA.com. American Airlines. You are why we fly. Terms and conditions apply.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because only the Sleep Number Climate 360 smart bed lets you each sleep up to 13 degrees cooler or warmer on either side, while you both sleep at your ideal level of firmness, comfort, and support, your Sleep Number setting. And now our all-new next-gen smart beds have temperature benefits, so you sleep better night after night. And now the new Queen Sleep Number C2 smart bed is only $8.99. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Great block by Tyron. Rolling, throwing to the end zone, wide open. Tolbert for the touchdown. Coming left to right against the boundary.
That is your drive of the game as the Cowboys rallied, which was one of their best drives. 9 plays, 82 yards. That took 3:49 off the clock there. And they hit Jalen Tolbert for the touchdown. Really good job of working open for Jalen Tolbert. Good route as he is starting to grow more and more, and I think is earning more and more opportunities as the season rolls on. Drive of the game brought to you by Ford, your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Postgame show also brought to you by, of course, the Star District. Experience the most electrifying event of the holiday season. The Cowboys Christmas Extravaganza, powered by Reliant, every Friday and Saturday night. From November 17th through December 16th, the Cowboys Christmas Extravaganza ignites the Star in Frisco with an unforgettable holiday performance showcasing 65 performers, including the world-renowned Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. They're going to have Santa Claus and experiences from your favorite Dallas Cowboys football heroes. Visit thestardistrict.com for more info. That is always an incredible event when they do that.
Oh, no, they do a great job over the Star. It's beautiful. You can take the family out there. It's actually a lot of fun. The next-gen stats are starting to roll in from this one.
Give it to me.
Dak Prescott versus man coverage in this game was 13 of 21 for 188 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the Eagles played man coverage, they say 45% of the time against the Cowboys. Tight window throws of 38.1% in man coverage drop back. They averaged 2.6 yards of target separation versus man and 5 yards of separation versus zone. I like Dak just like torched them up when they went to that zone coverage. And me personally, I didn't think it mattered. I think either way, though, he was spot on where he needed to be. It's just unfortunate that they had some breakdowns, with their scheme, with physically getting beat, at the offensive line spots. And I'm always, like I say, I'm always interested to see where the route combinations were. Did the quarterback, the quarterback last week did a great job of keeping his eyes down the field, and I'm always, you could tell when he gets in that mode, and I'm interested to see if that's the case when we watch this one in the morning.
All right, let's go to Johnny in Boston. Johnny, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys with Zach Wolchuk and the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus.
My brothers, pleasure.
Thank you, man.
I've wanted to
Appreciate it.
call in for a long time. And Zach, no disrespect to you, but Bryan, you're an absolute legend, sir.
Thank
People
you.
are not going to understand, and I can't underestimate this. You are going to be missed, sir. I don't know how many years you got left, but you are a pleasure.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
so grateful. Every day we get to tune in and watch. I can't believe you guys don't have a network like the Yes Network, like what the Yankees do.
We got faces
Man.
for radio, man. That's what we're dealing with right now.
Thank you, Johnny.
Hey, man, I've seen your face for years. I don't care about
Appreciate
that, man.
that.
You are an absolute legend, and the people you put around you, too, pretty damn good. I miss Jeff, but that's beside the point. Anyway, you guys are just great at what you do, especially you, Bryan, and I just appreciate your analysis.
Thank you.
Anyway, some quick points if I could.
Sure.
Number one, I'm sorry. Mike McCarthy, I try to stay off him. He's made some game management decisions that I question. Today, man, I would have really loved to take that field goal under 2 minutes. You had 3 timeouts. You kick a field goal there. You stop Philly. You come back. You kick a field goal. Game's over. I don't know what happened. Did the kicker get hurt that I didn't see or something?
No, I think he was okay. I think Mike just made the determination that he wanted to try and send the game in a different direction there. So I don't think Zach and I were talking about that. I don't think we were okay with the going aspect of it because I'm thinking
I think they committed to that.
I'm like, man, I just kept thinking these guys aren't going to cover you. I just kept thinking that, and but the pass rush was a problem.
But how tough is it to go down within 2 minutes and go score? I mean, it's tough, man. No matter who.
Well, Philadelphia has proven that they will try and give you the game at the end. I've watched them. There's been several games this year where Sirianni makes a call, and you're like going, why didn't he just punt the ball there?
Yeah.
Why did he go for it there? And he's put his team in some harm's way. I think that the Eagles got very, very fortunate today that the way that one ended for them. I mean, they got very fortunate, not unfortunate. I think they got very fortunate for how that one ended for them.
Yeah, Cowboys 3 for 5 on 4th down, and that just kind of seemed the way that Coach McCarthy wanted to call it. He was going to be aggressive. He was going to go for it. And that I mean, you can.
I never have a problem with it. I really don't. I mean, there's certain things that Mike does. I personally, I felt like that Mike, he didn't beat me down with the run today. You know what I'm saying? I was worried that he was just going to say, damn, we're going to run the ball today.
I was thinking it would need to be like Tampa was in the season opener 2 years ago, where they just said, we're throwing. We're not even running.
To me, like every time if it was, run play, the first series of the game was a couple of back-to-back runs, and you're like going, oh, please don't be this guy today. But I think that he found a way like to say that I'm not going to sit there and just put Dak in a bunch of 2nd and 9s and 2nd and 8s today.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there were some plays where they had some long distance or down and distance stuff, but I thought Dak handled that part of it pretty well.
The one play that we didn't talk about that I think that we had circled, and then obviously the way that this one unfolded, there were so many different plays and moments that kind of overtook that thinking. But the Eagles' first touchdown drive.
Okay.
Cowboys, it was 3rd and 5. Jalen Hurts scrambled for 4 yards. The spot was bad.
Oh,
it set up that 4th and 1 that they went for.
Okay.
That's the one we looked at each other and we said McCarthy should have challenged that.
Okay, now if you want it, now there you go. Because I circled it. It was they have a 1st and 10, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 5, and then the 4th and 1 as you mentioned, and that's when Hurts stepped out of bounds.
Yes,
and it was on their side of the field.
It might have been 4th and 3. I think they gave him an extra yard or two.
No, it would have been 4th and 3. And that's why I yelled at you. I'm like, why did he challenge that?
Yeah, you were livid in the moment.
I'm like, challenge that because maybe that makes the decision different for him in going for it there. Instead of 4th and 1, he knows that tush push is going to get him a first down. But is he thinking, 4th and 3? I might not take that
from his own 30.
Yeah.
Does he punt then?
Yeah.
And instead they go down the field, they score at 7-0.
Yeah.
They punt it back. It's 0-0. Who knows? The direction the game ends up going after that.
That was a great recall there because that was one that I did circle. I had to go back to my notes all the way through, and that was one I had circled for sure.
All right, let's go to Don in Virginia. Don, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call. So this is definitely a disappointing loss, but I mean, I'm not one for moral victories, but I think there's a lot you can still take from it. To Brian's point, I'm not going to blame the officials.
Yeah.
I'm not a Dak advocate by any means. I normally go against him, but I think he's probably 2 yards away from having one of his best regular season games as a Cowboy quarterback.
Yeah.
You're finally treating your number one wide receiver like a number one wide receiver. You got a tight end that's developing, and you might be seeing a change in Tolbert as far as, that number 3 wide receiver.
Yeah.
What I would like to see is the defense just come up and make a big stop in the big game.
Right.
And to the last caller's point about kicking the field goal, I think if you're Mike, maybe you don't have enough confidence in your defense at that point that they can make a stop.
Too. That's a great
point. And so you just have to go for it.
Yeah.
I'll end with just a question, similar to what we got going on with Gallup and shifting over hopefully to Tolbert if he can make better plays. Do you think we get to a point in the secondary where we start giving guys like Wanye Thomas another shot since he played so well at the beginning of the season, and Izzy McQuambu or something like that too?
Yeah, I don't know how much they're going to look at changing the corners, but they've struggled at safety. And the one thing I know about Wanye Thomas is he is a tough SOB, and he'll tackle, and he's around the ball.
He's always around the ball.
He's always around.
Him and Bell. Him and Marquise Bell are two guys that, they deserve it.
I am totally, and now maybe Dan Quinn, and hey, Dan Quinn's done a great job with this defense, and he knows far more than I'll ever know. But I am all about maybe seeing number 30 on the field a little bit more. And I know they love Curse, and I know they love Hooker, but man, I would just like to see number 30 because I think he is a hell of a football player.
What do you think about another guy that they gave they signed to a new contract that we were excited about, but there's been times this year he hasn't quite looked the same in Donovan Wilson?
You know what? To me, if Dono's going to play, it's got to be down low. It's got to be in the box area because Curse is a liability in coverage. Hooker's a liability in coverage. And I don't think Donovan Wilson, I think Donovan Wilson's more of a grabber, holder kind of guy. And so I'm not going to put him in those situations on third down because I feel like that it'll be third down, we get a stop, and all of a sudden then we get defensive holding, and now we have to go back out there and play defense. I think your best cover guy actually is probably Wanye Thomas because Curse can't move and Hooker can't move. They're not able to do what we need to do. But these coaches, they trust them. They trust them a lot. But you could see when you watch Curse having to deal with those tight ends. Watch Hooker trying to, how about the deep ball that went down the middle of the field that was incomplete that Gilmore and then also Bland made? Hooker got caught short and he's turning to run, and it's like everybody's leaving him, as he's trying to go and make and adjust to that play. So I would totally love to see Wanye Thomas play more. I think if this team didn't have like a winning record and you wanted to see young guys play, I think they would. But I have my doubts about that right now.
877-881-1053. That is the number to call, the number to text. Let's go to Clint in Garland. Clint, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, guys. The one good thing about holding this long, I've had my steam kind of taken out of me. I've kind of calmed down. But I will say this. I'm going to go 70% McCarthy, 20% Steele, 10% Dak. The only thing I can blame Dak for is the field awareness and understanding right there off of the back foot, off the left foot, dive with the ball, the nose, hit the pylon.
Yeah.
I can't blame Dak for anything else. I thought that he played not really well. I thought he played fantastic.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy, you're a buffoon. These coaches that are the great coaches, the elite coaches, you don't win with the big splash plays because that's the players doing that. When Odell Beckham makes that one-handed catch, when Randy Moss goes up and mosses somebody, when CeeDee Lamb breaks the tackle, he puts somebody on skates and just breaks them. Those are the players. That's their skill. The game is won by the coaches with the attention to detail.
There you go.
And that is something that Mike McCarthy is very weak at. He's very weak at it. He just expects Terrence Steele. Well, Terrence Steele, you just got to go block Hassan Reddick one-on-one, guy.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
After the second sack, you have to say, listen, he's having a problem out there.
Right.
We're going to have to chip. The guy who chips, you go out in the flat.
Right.
And Dak, dump it in the flat if you don't have anybody. He put that guy in a position to fail, not to succeed, and that is the biggest problem with the buffoon that Mike McCarthy is, because he went and got the Jones boys and the old man drunk on the yacht and talked him into getting this head coaching job. And I'll hang up and listen.
My man gained his steam back, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, he did.
No, I appreciate the call.
I feel like, though, going into the game, that he was going to need some help. And if they did it with a wing or a tight end or somebody to his side, at least to make the guys like Hassan Reddick and others, Brandon Graham got you, but make somebody have to rush a little wider. There's a lot of they have a lot of confidence in Terrence Steele. And Terrence Steele has been good. He has been good. Has he been good this year? Not as much as he normally has. But to ask him, he probably had zero confidence towards the end of that game of blocking somebody. And I would have put somebody over there. Now, sometimes you put guys over there and they get in the way of the offensive tackle, and then it turns into a bigger disaster there. But they did nothing to help him that I noticed with alignment or bringing guys across, motioning. Even if you keep Schoonmaker or somebody in, just kind of make sure that edge is always just clipped a little bit.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't get an upfield rush on you.
No doubt, and it's crazy. According to Next Gen Stats, the Eagles posted 13 pass rush wins in the fourth quarter on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's tied for the most by any team in a game in the last 3 years. Dak still managed to pass for 173 yards in the fourth quarter against the Eagles. And he fought through a lot of pressure. And we've talked about it before, and we'll go back and look at that one individual play. There's times that, yes, and Dak's able to make plays off of this at times, but you would like for him to throw the football away. But at the end there, man, you got beat on the offensive line.
Man, the tough thing is quarterback trying to throw ball away when pocket is closing in on you.
Hit.
And all you needed was Sweat or somebody to hit Dak as he's throwing the ball, and then it's empty hand, and then they call it a fumble. And now we're going to be screaming like, well, what was he trying to do? And Dak comes out and says, well, I was trying to throw the ball away. Yeah, you can't take a sack, but sometimes the situation doesn't allow you to do what you needed to do. You got to give the Eagles some credit for the way that they were able to create pressure and the way they were able to get some sacks there at the end of that game, because their secondary was dying out there.
Yeah.
They were dying. They were down to their, Dallas was doing the best they could to take advantage of that situation, but they couldn't solidify the pocket well enough to make it happen.
All right, we will continue to hear from you, 877-881-1053. We've also got some more audio from the locker room as well. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than
It's a big 2-point play. Pollard behind him, fakes the draw, rolls to his right, looking in the end zone, running to the 5, toward the pylon, diving! Did he get the pylon? He did! Prescott runs it in for the 2-point conversion, and it's a field goal game.
Crowd doesn't like the call. Now they like the review. Oh, yeah,
he didn't make it.
We're going to see his, yep.
He did not make it.
Right foot went out before the ball went over the pylon.
After review, the runner stepped out of bounds.
There's no question that Prescott's right foot crossed the boundary.
Man, a heartbreaker. That is our what a play of the game. Biggest play right there. And in a game that there were a handful.
A lot of big plays in that one, yeah.
Play of the game brought to you by WinStar, the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. WinStar knows what it means to be a star with over 10,000 of your favorite electronic games. The all-new 2-story WinStar Spa and Cascades, the luxury pool complex there. WinStar really is the place to feel like a star. Please game responsibly. But Dak, again, who's been using his legs more. He tried to leap over Slay at one point, tried to pull the John Elway helicopter his way in.
My bloody muddied.
Yeah, and he was.
Yeah.
And he was. And you can, as always, we can nitpick a decision here, a play there, the dysfunction that looked like the final drive, which isn't always on the quarterback. I get the frustration of like, gosh, dang it, I want my guy to find a way to get it in the end zone there. I'm rooting. I understand that frustration. And I articulated that in the opening segment. I can understand that perspective. But Dak Prescott, as he always is against the Eagles, for the most part, was really, really damn good today. And that play right there, he had it. Unfortunately, his foot just went out of bounds. Yeah. And what a different game it could have been if that counted, because then you're in a position where you can kick the field goal. You can possibly put the game into overtime.
Yeah, and the way that Philly's secondary was, and remember there was a time when Dak beat the Eagles at AT&T Stadium, and it might have been the Amari Cooper game, when Amari came on board and Dallas got the ball to start overtime and they just drove it down the field and Dak finished them off, I think with a pass to Amari Cooper for the game winner. But the way that the condition of the Eagles secondary, man, maybe if you could got that thing to overtime, but maybe Dallas's defense probably wasn't in much better shape with what was going on there. But yeah, I think that McCarthy was in a situation where he probably didn't think like his defense was going to get a stop. He had to you talk about the 4th downs, but Dak, with the 2-point play, he did the best he could. I mean, Dak is, I would say Dak, would you call him nimble? Would you call Dak kind of a nimble runner? I wouldn't. I would call him nimble. I would call him very physical.
He's a physical runner for sure.
He's physical. Bruising, but
it doesn't always look clean.
Yeah, it's
a little sloppy sometimes.
It's like Lamar Jackson looks like he's nimble and he plants and then he's and Dak was trying to get the corner and he couldn't get. He was trying to plant the right foot and then kind of launch himself to that corner and get to the pylon. It's just unfortunate though. That's
the Schoonmaker one where he's just inches shy.
The margin of error for this Cowboy team sometimes is it
does make you sick. There were so many moments where we're cheering. It's euphoria. It's hell yes, they're going to do this. And then it's just, oh no, are you kidding me? An absolute punch to the gut. And now you're sitting here at 5-3 and you just lost to the Eagles. The good thing is, you can get revenge at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, where the Cowboys have won 11 in a row. You'll see them again in a month, and I think you're every bit as good as the Eagles. I really do. I mean, you've played them. You match up well against them. You don't match up well against San Francisco. I'll never pick them to beat the 49ers again, ever, ever. But they can beat this Philadelphia team. Today, unfortunately, things didn't go your way.
Yeah,
in a variety of different situations.
Yeah,
and you weren't good enough.
No, you weren't good enough to finish it off at the end. It's one of those things that, again, I say the margin of error is very small for this Cowboys team at times.
All right, let's go back to the phones. I know we got people waiting. Let's go to we got our Tim in Carthage. Tim, how you doing, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, Zach. Hey, man, love you guys, but you already know that. Zach, first off, most importantly, congratulations. I love you. And I'm not going to say on the air why, but you know why.
I know. Thank you, buddy.
Bryan,
yes, sir.
And Bryan, son, let me tell you, First off, I'm working on a fishing trip with you and Todd Fairclough down at Sam Rayburn.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
You bet. And second thing, anybody wants to call and criticize you for your analysis tonight,
Oh, it's okay.
well, you just tell them, have a good day, sir.
Yeah, that's okay. I know what I understand. This is a very, very difficult game to digest for a lot of folk, and I understand
well, Bryan, here's the thing about it. You could be at drunk at the parade on Friday, or you could have been on sober as a rock today on the sideline.
Yeah.
I would put my money on you if you were in the coach's box.
Well,
because everything you said tonight has been spot on.
Yeah.
And as far as the game is concerned, guys, let's just face it. The game was between two teams that were Super Bowl worthy. The game was a good game. Okay, I'm not going to badmouth Philadelphia because they played hard. We played hard. That Zach with 27 seconds left, who knows what's going to happen if you just throw the ball away? A lot of things bad can happen.
Sure.
The only thing I have to say is I wish that Cook had been a little bit. I was thrilled at the fact that they got Gallup involved in the game tonight. But I just wish that Cook had been a little bit more involved in the game tonight. And you guys, you all know me, and don't let this day go by without me giving a big salute to Lucius and Veterans Week this week.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tim.
I
I
really
appreciate it.
that. Thank you for your comments.
But he's right. And there's times, and some people will reach out to us and say, like, Brandon Cooks it's a negative to Cooks. Like, he's not as good of a player. I don't think that's the case.
I wonder. That's why there were times where I know the pass that one time that Schoonmaker dropped in the game was against New England was, when they split the cover 2 look, and Cooks, there's been so many times this year where Cooks has been open, and you just
I think he was open in the end zone on the Schoonmaker play. We're gonna have to go back and look at that.
There's gonna be this is going to be one of the most intensely looked at tape that I think that everybody who has that opportunity to do it can. But I just feel like that I don't know if it's about using him or is it about that the quarterback just doesn't always see him. And maybe the last couple of weeks they've done a better job of getting the eyes downfield. But it's unfortunate because I kind of felt like that with them backed up in that final drive. To me, this was like launch one to Cooks and see if one of these corners like Ricks or one of those guys can turn and run with him, because I don't think they probably could.
Yeah.
That's where I would have tacked.
I'm with you there. All right, we got a Big Jim who's been waiting. Big Jim in Round Rock. You're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, Chuck Broaddus, it's always a pleasure to hear you guys give your breakdown.
Thank you.
Bryan, I went in and made me an egg and bacon sandwich with a little Duke's mayonnaise on there.
Oh, man, the Duke's mayonnaise, the Duke's mayonnaise is good on anything.
It'll kind of calm your nerves down.
It will calm your nerves. I'm looking forward to the turkey sandwich I'm about to have when I get off this gig tonight.
Oh, I want to hear more about your Thanksgiving sandwich.
Well, thank you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for the guys this week. We'll let you know what's on your mind, though. What's on your mind tonight, sir?
I watched that final drive, and let me tell you something. There was that after offsides call, Dak got up there and he did the kill, and I think let me tell you what I think happened. Tyler Smith got a little bit nervous. That's why he got that penalty, because he knew he was going to have to block that guy in order to get Dak in the end zone. Dak called his own number. And then the next play was the sack play. Let me tell you something, fellas. There was no way in hell that Dak Prescott was going to throw that ball away.
I didn't think so at the time. I mean, we'll watch. We'll see. Yeah.
94 8 up steal, and then 98 Jalen Carter. He blew past Tyler Smith and then swam right through Broaddus. Yeah. And there was nowhere he could go. Now I will say this on that sack. Watch Dak. He signals Talbert out there. He gives him a signal. And then they come back to the very next play when the time's running down. They go to that same play, and I think they knew that he was going to Talbert on that play.
Sure.
So, it was man, I tell you, it was a tough one. And, Bryan, you did a good job on you. I listened to that film breakdown that you did, or the defensive and the offensive breakdown last night just to get ready. Heard it again, and boy, I was looking for old Dallas Goedert, and boy, they stuck it right there to him on that fourth down.
Sure did.
But no, listen, Dak played a good game. Came up a little bit short, and y'all did point out that challenge that McCarthy missed. I thought that
big play.
It was
no
a
doubt.
big play.
Well, listen, y'all get to the others. I love you boys. Y'all have a good one.
Love you too, Big Jim. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's interesting, going back and when we watch this, because Tyler did give up, that pressure to Jalen Carter. Next Gen Stats has the numbers out now. Tyler Smith allowed just 2 pressures over 24 matchups against Jalen Carter, including just 1 pressure over 13 one-on-one matchups. And I think they might have both come in the fourth quarter.
I think you're absolutely right about that. So it was when you said that came out, it just popped up on my screen, and I think, man, okay, well, that's going to be a little bit different from if, the 2 pressures. But
he actually played really well against him. Unfortunately, the pressures came in the worst time.
And that's and when you've always heard me say this, Zach, and I know a lot of folks out there listen to us as well. You grade these offensive linemen on 65 plays, and unfortunately, they might have 2 or 3 bad plays, and that's the difference in a football game sometimes.
It's the same thing, I think, with Dak when we're critiquing him.
Oh, yeah.
95% of this game was great, but there's the 5% we're going to look at. And, heck, I'm guilty of it as well. I get emotional. I'm like, damn it, I need you to score. I need you to go win the football game in that end there. But, hey, it didn't happen. And the good thing is you'll get to see this team again. But right now it hurts. Right now it stinks.
You need to find a way to put some wins together and then get this thing back to they've got a tough road to go. I think they got a game with Kansas City. Buffalo not playing great right now. Cincinnati's all over them. But there's some games that are, they're going to be a little bit difficult for the Eagles once they get back from the bye. But, man, they have won a lot of close games, a lot of games that looked like they were going to lose, including tonight.
They sure have.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get back to more of your calls and texts. We got post-game player audio as well. We'll do a whip around the rest of the National Football League. Recap everything that happened on this Sunday. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Cowboys Nation is big because everything's bigger in Texas. And Reliant has the energy to power it all. From home field advantage to home sweet home, Reliant has Dallas Cowboys fans all across the Lone Star State covered for every electric moment this season and beyond. Reliant, proud to be the official energy provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Reliant, PUCT number 10007.
There is less than 1/100 of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extends the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and internal oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Oil, the official oil of the Dallas Cowboys.
A true Dallas Cowboys fan is there for the journey and the destination. This is the season to make your journey count by flying through McAllen International Airport, the South Texas airport of the Dallas Cowboys. Whether you're flying down for McAllen's award-winning fall and holiday festivals, or you're a South Texas fan flying up to cheer the Cowboys on, make your journey as satisfying as your destination at the South Texas airport of the Dallas Cowboys. McAllen International Airport, above, beyond at McAllenAirport.com.
To his own teammate. Now let's see who got on this ball at the 30. The clock is running, but it shouldn't have, and apparently the Eagles got back on the ball.
There is the defensive stop of the game, brought to you by Reliant and NRG Company. Man, that Cowboys defense, the one that really, really just was a bummer. That one certainly, where they have an opportunity to get the football back right around the Eagle 30-yard line. Unfortunately, they recover it. It was Tyler Steen, the rookie guard from Alabama, who got the start today. Played a little bit last week as well in their win. But that opening drive, it seemed like
Micah Parsons knocked one out too, right?
Swift fumbles.
Yeah.
Marquise Bell. I mean, Donovan Wilson rips it away. Marquise Bell picks it up. It looks like, okay, you forced a turnover. Unfortunately, Swift fell right on the football.
What was the sack? Sam Williams. Sam
Williams, yes,
Sam Williams
the
had
strip.
Sam Williams had a strip sack, and they couldn't,
3 times.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Sometimes that's the way the football gods go. Ball didn't bounce your way today.
Not today.
And certainly the luck was not on your side as the Cowboys fall to the Eagles 28-23. This one stings. There's not a worse team to lose to in the National Football League to me. But we appreciate all of you sticking with us, whether you are arguing or yelling at us and you don't agree with what we have to say. That's okay.
That's fine.
All right, that's fine. Emotions are heated. I love this team too, and I get it. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus, 877-881-1053. The number to call, the number to text. Let's go to the locker room. Stephon Gilmore caught up with the media afterwards, and Gilly did get that one pass interference call against him, part of a 30 yards of penalties that the Eagles used to march down the field when the Cowboys had them pinned back in the shadow of their own end zone. They certainly were helped by the officiating on that drive. I thought that play, when they didn't call the one where I think it was Slay was grabbing CeeDee Lamb's arm,
and
then they're going to come back and call that. That one bothered me a little bit, but Gilly, Stephon Gilmore talking to the media afterwards.
It's the National Football League. If it come down to the wire like that, they was able to make more plays than we did.
The defense for you guys made the stops. It felt like down the stretch that you needed to as well. I mean, that's a rallying point, I'm assuming, for this group, correct?
Yeah, it was big to make those stops and get an offensive chance to go down and score. But we played hard enough to win today. We just didn't come out on that end.
Mike just said that, it's a game of inches, and that was the case for a few plays. How do you kind of see where you guys measure up with a team when it is that close?
We know what type of team we got. We measure up to anybody. I like us against anybody, so we just wasn't able to get it done today. We know we should have, and we go learn from it and go to next week.
Can you see past the frustration of not winning and take something positive from it or not?
It's tough. I mean, not really, because I hate losing. It sucks, I just hate losing. So we just got to go back to the drawing board and go from there.
How frustrated were you with that penalty in the third quarter?
Bad. I mean, I was jamming them. They missed a lot today, but, that's how it goes. You just got to keep fighting and keep playing.
Did you get an explanation from them on it?
No.
There's a non-play. He had given up on the ball, too.
That's what I'm saying. He threw it out the back of the end zone. Out the end zone. So, you got to ask them that.
Did you think it was uncatchable?
For sure.
There's Stephon Gilmore, and you could have argued that it was an uncatchable play. Certainly. That one was interesting there, and one that, look, the officiating on both sides I didn't think was great today. It wasn't a great day for the Zebras.
Yeah, either fan base could have, whoever won that game, their fan base was going to be okay with things, and whichever fan base lost that game was not going to be as good. And, it's frustrating for the players, but he said it. They made a few more plays than you made in this game. And unfortunately, when you really, really needed to stop in, the second half, early in the second half when they had the ball to start the second half, you weren't able to do that. You gave up two big drives that ended in touchdowns. And it's, that when your margin of error, I've said it a couple of times, I really believe this, when your margin of error is not very big, these plays that go, that's a false start or a hands to the face or a face mask or a kickoff out of bounds. I mean, think about the field position you gave them off just stupid special teams plays. Evans ripped that kid's helmet off.
They had a lot of self-inflicted ones.
Yeah. So you're sitting there trying to think, okay, well, why did you lose this game? Well, yeah, kickoff out of bounds. And the kid's been money all year, kicking the ball out of the end zone. Did we get a little cute and try and maybe force them into having a return, or did you just mishit the ball? I don't know. It's a tough way to lose a ball game because, like I say, you had an opportunity to get it down there and get it in.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Let's go to Hakeem in Frisco, as he's been waiting for a while. Hakeem, how you doing?
Hey, great to talk to you, Broaddus. It is an honor and a pleasure to be in the same airwaves as you.
Thank you, sir.
Just a few things. I thought Dak played magnificent. I mean, when I'm seeing other quarterbacks, I mean, I saw Mahomes today. I'm watching Burrow right now. I'm watching Josh Allen. I'm not saying Dak is as good as them, but as far as today, Dak played as good, if not better, than all those guys. And I thought he played better than Jalen Hurts. I mean, when I look at it, we asked Dak to draw back 50 times today. And I think one of the big reasons why that, and one of the things I'll say, Broaddus, I'm sure you saw this beforehand, the Eagles' defensive backs, they can get got. I mean,
no question. That was my game plan going in. I knew they weren't going to be able to run the ball or have it. Everybody's thrown the ball more on Philadelphia than they have run the ball.
Right. I mean, that's clearly the weakness of their team.
That's the weakness of their second, and it might get them when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and I think that will, and I think we saw a lot that we can build from. I love the fact that we're no longer in this. Remember the mode of T.O. and all those other guys where we have to work to get our best receiver the ball. I'm elated to see they were able to get CD the ball, and he's producing in relation to that. I thought that our linebacker play, I thought it needs to be a lot better. I don't know where Clark is nowadays, but he seemed to be playing well. But my question to you guys is this. So when I looked up our top 7 draft picks today. I know Overshown, our 3rd-round pick. I know he got hurt.
Sure.
But when I look at Mozzie Smith, when I look at Dalton Kincaid for the Bills, I'm like, man, I wish we'd have had Dalton Kincaid, even though Ferguson's playing well. Even our 4th-round draft pick, the defensive end, and then I just go down the line, and we had a lot of high hopes for Deuce Vaughn, but he's not even making the active roster.
Right.
I just feel as if we had an empty draft, and today was a perfect example of by inches. I mean, our offensive line. I think their offensive line is better than ours, and that was a big difference as well. But Broaddus, I wanted to get your thoughts as far as the lack of being able to get our folks on the field, or just they're just not good enough when it comes to our 7 draft picks.
No,
and the fact that
not right now they're not. I mean, but let me. I'll cut you off there. Thank you though for all your.
It was. Good thoughts there,
all your
Hakeem.
thoughts
I appreciate that.
I just want to take the opportunity here.
Yeah,
I think the thing with Mozzie Smith is when you really study Mozzie Smith's game, Mozzie Smith is not Jalen Carter, and you're starting to see. But Mozzie Smith wasn't going to be the first overall pick in the draft by a lot of people. It took really everything that happened. The Eagles happened to be in a tremendously outstanding position with 2 first-round picks, and one of them there being at 10. And then sometimes the draft guards smile on you, and look at how the Cowboys have gotten, how they got Micah Parsons. The same way a lot of people pass along the way. Mazi Smith was never going to be Jalen Carter.
Yes.
But let's not act like Mazi Smith. There were a couple of times tonight that I noticed where Mazi, and trust me, I go back every single game and rewatch it after I watch it one time and just watch all the plays that Mazi Smith's in. Mazi Smith is not a bum. He's not a bust. Mazi Smith is not going to have huge numbers. There will be a day where Mazi Smith will be a guy that will be disruptive. Right now, he's just learning how to play with some quickness off the ball, and there's times where he still struggles with that. There'll be times when you watch him and he's the last guy off the ball. When that happens to him, he's not a very good football player. But those times are few and far between. And by the way, I just saw Kincaid catch a ball. Buffalo traded ahead of you, right?
Yeah, you didn't have an opportunity to draft Dalton Kincaid. Buffalo knew the Cowboys probably were targeting him. Yeah. There were some rumors about Sam Laporta as well on that day.
But I just let me finish up on Mazi Smith. Right now everybody's not happy with Mazi Smith, but trust me, I watch him every single game and watch all his plays. Mazi Smith is going to be a factor for you in one of these games coming up. Trust me, I think he will.
I agree. I think Mazi is a guy where that's where, and people do roll their eyes sometimes. You get sick of us saying, "Hey, you got to watch the tape." That's just a position, though.
Yeah.
To where that's not going to his job, his role isn't going to show up on the stat sheet.
No, not at all, not at all. And he's not. His job right now is to play the run, to get off blocks, not to get turned. But his job is to get off the ball in a hurry. And when he does that, he can play well. When he doesn't do that, he's a below average football player.
Yeah. And with Schoonmaker as well. I mean, it isn't, the Cowboys have had a lot of success with their rookie draft classes. I mean, heck, Deron Bland, we go back to last year, right, was really, really good for them. Yeah. This year, they probably, looking back at it, they're not getting as much productivity as they have in the past. But I mentioned Jalen Tolbert earlier. Mm-hmm. People want to write Jalen Tolbert off as a bust.
Yep.
Right now, Jalen Tolbert looks like he can be a pretty good player for you in the future.
He's probably going to play.
Arrow's pointing up.
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz was a guy that wasn't very good the first couple of years of his career either.
Right.
Then developed into one of the more reliable tight ends in football. I think Luke Schoonmaker's got the ability to do that as well. Overshown, Hakeem mentioned. Overshown was a guy that we were really excited about, would have had a role for this thing. Junior Fehoko is a guy that hasn't been active. Same thing with Eric Scott. These guys eventually can develop into good players. You can't just write them off 9 games into their careers.
Yeah. And, and there's a lot of teams. I mean, the one thing I think the Cowboys have done is done a pretty good job is building their roster where a lot of these guys are not having opportunities. They just can't get on the field. They just can't get on the field.
Absolutely. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Got a couple more calls to get to. We will put a bow on this one as the Cowboys had a disappointing loss to the Eagles, but we turn our sights towards the Giants, and next week, Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
RJ Shop here, Fucker Friends at Hey, number one air, proud part of the 10. Snap to Prescott. Throws it in the left side. He's wide open. 20, 15, 10. Lamb's out of bounds. First down, close to goal. Now 1st and 10 at the 11. 27 seconds.
CeeDee Lamb, our player of the game, brought to you by Jack Black. Want to use what the pros use? Jack Black is the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit getjackblack.com today. Gosh, dang it. I was so good. I was nailing that read till just now.
You've had a really solid 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say the first segment I was not happy. But, this always ends up being therapeutic. I'm still not happy.
I don't think there are a lot of people that aren't happy out there right now.
I hate losing to the Eagles. I mean, I hate losing in general, but I really hate losing to the Eagles, especially when you had a chance to win the damn game.
They got problems in that secondary.
They do.
That's going to come back and get them in one of these games.
I hope it does, and I hope it does at AT&T Stadium in the rematch. CeeDee Lamb, by the way.
They could lose a couple more games before they get to that.
That'd be nice. The Cowboys are going to need that help if they want a chance to win this division.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb has 7 receptions for 123 yards. It was CeeDee Lamb's 14th career 100-yard game, the second most 100-yard games through a Cowboys player's first 4 seasons. The only Cowboy player with more.
Michael Irvin.
Not Michael.
Is it somebody from back in my day?
Yeah.
Back in my day? Drew Pearson.
Maybe
even
older.
further. Bob Hayes?
Bullet Bob Hayes.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. Had 15. So one more, and CeeDee ties Bob Hayes. And I think it's very likely he has at least 2 more 100-yard games. Hopefully more than that, and he will have that record. All right.
Finding ways to get him the ball, especially on the move. Especially on the move.
No doubt.
That's good.
Yes. I mean, the last 2 weeks he's been really, really good, and they're starting to use him in a variety of different waways. I like that Texas route. They lined him up in the backfield and had him run that Texas route.
You liked when I yelled that out, right?
That was fun.
Texas route.
Texas route.
Texas route, yeah.
It's fun. Okay, let's get to we'll do one last caller, and then we'll go ahead and recap everything else that happened in the NFL, and then look ahead to the Giants next week. Let's go to Jackson and Cedar Hill. Jackson, go ahead and take us home, man.
Hey, guys, how you doing? I enjoyed the show today.
Thank you.
What I'm talking about is you made a point about Overshawn. I think they're missing him. I think they're missing John Stevens, the tight end. I also want to make a point of the Cowboys not making a trade. They made a trade at one time for Charles Haley, which made a difference in the game, and they won a couple of Super Bowls off of that. You should have went and got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry. The other thing is the Cowboys' offensive line has been having pre-snap penalties not only just this time, all through their whole season, which cost them the game. And if they don't straighten that out, and what's his name, the running back? He's tipping, man. I'm just going to be honest with you. Yeah, Pollard. He's tipping. He's not running the ball, but Pollard understands now that Zeke took most of the punishment, and then all he had to do was run through and get some catches. But you should have traded for Derrick Henry. Made a difference because you don't have any running plays in the red zone. So every team's going to come at you like you're on fire. So you got to have something to make you better. And you should have made a trade. And I think the guys played good. But on that play you were talking about a few minutes ago.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Man,
I have more problem. If Derrick Henry could play linebacker or play corner or play safety, I'm all for you, man. I understand what you're talking about, the physicality. But I'll say this. They can't get Tony to and through the hole. They can't. The way that they're blocking right now, and listen, it might have something to do with Joe Philbin not being here. It might be the lack of, now they're kind of getting the 5 guys together, but there's another game where Tyron Smith didn't play, last week. Where's the continuity in that? But yeah, the way I don't think this is a Derrick Henry problem. I think this is a problem with your front. But, man, I think you got a lot more issues than what's going on at running back.
Yeah. And I mean, look, a lot of people have been commenting about Tony Pollard. It does appear, we've talked about it.
It's been tough. They can't get him to. They can't get him to and through the hole. They just can't. And has he lacked some explosiveness?
Yeah, that elite breakaway speed doesn't quite seem to be there. Absolutely. But I'm with you. I don't know that Derrick Henry necessarily masks and solves all the problems with the running game. Quick look around the National Football League from today outside of the 28-23 Eagles win over our Cowboys. And by the way, CeeDee Lamb finished with 11 catches and 191 yards after you include that final drive. He was fantastic. Saints ended up knocking off the Bears. Not a bad game from Tyson Bagent. I know for you that's big for a survivor pick.
Survivor pick.
But the Saints, Derek Carr, a couple of touchdown passes. They get the win. Right now the Bengals are up on the Bills 21-10. Looks like we got the 3 top teams in the AFC. The Baltimore Ravens look like they could be the best team in football right now.
They very well could be. Yep.
They got a big-time win over the Seahawks. I thought that could be a competitive game.
They mauled them.
They did, 37-3.
Yeah.
Seattle didn't stand a chance as Lamar Jackson with 187 yards passing. Also got it done on the ground. Mark Andrews, 9 catches, 80 yards. Odell Beckham Jr. with his first touchdown catch as a Baltimore Raven as well. You had the Chiefs winning in Germany 21-14 over the Dolphins. How about the Minnesota Vikings? 31-28. They beat the Falcons. This was not good for me because I had the Falcons because I thought, all right, Vikings don't have a quarterback.
Right.
They're starting Jaron Hall, who I liked.
You liked
but
him,
he's a rookie making his first career start. Had a good opening drive. Then, unfortunately, he gets knocked out with a concussion. Josh Dobbs, who didn't take a single snap with the ones all week.
Josh Dobbs hung an L on you.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Josh Dobbs rallies the Vikings to get the win. Was also the leading rusher in the game for the Vikings.
That's what Josh Dobbs does. He just kind of bounces from team to team. And
unbelievable story.
Yeah.
Browns blanked the Cardinals 27-0. Their lone win continues to be against our Cowboys.
Yeah.
Packers got off the schneid. They beat the Rams 20-3 at home.
Rams need a bye week bad.
Yeah, they do. Matthew Stafford did not play in that one.
No.
The Commanders go to New England. They beat the Patriots 20-17. The Patriots are now 2-7 on the season.
This might be Bill Belichick's last year.
Very well might be.
Yeah.
I wonder if they go to Josh McDaniels because he sure loves him some New England Patriots.
I think Mike Vrabel might get that job.
That would make some sense too. They got a prime away from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Houston, what a game! They rallied to beat the Bucs 39-37. C.J. Stroud, most passing yards in the history of the National Football League for a rookie, 470 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Did Houston have somebody other than their kicker?
They had their backup running back
kick an extra point.
Ogunbowale, yes.
Yeah. Amazing.
Amazing it was. The
Good for
Colts went to Carolina. They beat the Panthers 27-13. The Raiders knock off the Giants 30-6, and Daniel Jones is feared to be out for the rest of the season. So it'll probably be Tommy DeVito who gets the start next week for the Giants here in Arlington against the Cowboys. That is what the game will be next week, AT&T Stadium. It'll be a 3:25 kick, so we'll have pregame coverage same time, 12:30. Postgame will go to 9:30, and the Cowboys will try to rally, get back in the win column next week.
Good opportunity to do that. Yeah, the Eagles have the bye next week, so just got to stack a bunch of these together. You're going to have some opportunities. You got the Giants, Carolina, Commanders.
Very winnable games.
All winnable
until you
games.
get Seattle the week after Thanksgiving.
There you go.
Shout out to Ross, Justin, of course, Peyton Russell, who did a great job as well. Tim Collins, Gavin Spittle. Thank you very much to Bryan Broaddus.
Thank you, man. Appreciate all your work.
Zach Wolchuk. Until next week, right about, as I mentioned, 12:30. We'll do it again. Hopefully the Cowboys can get that win over the Giants. Always a pleasure. Appreciate all the texts, all the calls. Let's feel better about this one. Always a bummer, but we'll see you next week. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
ProStar Energy Solutions wrote the playbook for innovative energy solutions with the opening of AT&T Stadium. This mindset is why we created a complete energy playbook. Whether it's retrofitting LEDs, optimizing your HVAC, tracking sustainability goals, designing solar systems, and much more, ProStar has the plays. Trusted by organizations of all sizes and sectors throughout the United States, ProStar turns the obstacle of energy into an opportunity to achieve your business goals. Visit ProStarEnergy.com.
The big game is here.